Oh,
La Liga's your.
We need the money. We need the.
Oh, you got.
it's just my least favourite.
I'll save you. I'll save you.
Dun, dun.
Save you on that one. We're doing B-Tech again. Don't you miss the studio?
Yeah. Oh,
Yes and no. Because in the studio you can't get whammers.
No, that's very true. But hello, welcome to the Top Corner, episode number 18. And today we're going to be talking through our La Liga team of the season predictions. Hopefully anybody who's watching this can actually see on YouTube the videos live because it's not been shown up quite recently for anyone. But joining me in the studio today, well, not in the studio, actually from their homes because we're still in isolation. Joining me today is Kieren and Rowan, as always. No Kieran D. He's working in Morrison's. I'm looking for some.
Big up the key worker.
Big up the key workers. So without further ado, let's get on with the show.
Boom.
We time that perfectly every single time. But welcome, guys. How are we all doing? How's quarantine been?
Just boring.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not.
Go on.
It's boring, but you'll get used to it. I'm just going to find something. Like I'm going to bake a cake tomorrow. Day after, I'm going to redo the decking outside. I'm just going to do stuff that I would never do.
It's the little jobs, isn't it? Like I've seen quite a lot of people recently that are there just thinking to themselves, "I'll do a lot of cleaning that you would never do." So you know, you could just go around cleaning areas. I mean, if if you've got your dad or your uncles and that, you'll know they'll be in the garage cleaning the tools, which they'd never do that in the first place. But it's weird because I think a lot of people can say that things that they would never do, they're doing now because of this isolation period. It's crazy.
I rearranged my cupboards last week, so I brought up all my trophies from when I was like a kid, and I've just put them I've ended up moving them finally from downstairs. If this hadn't have happened, I'd have just gone, I'll leave them there. I'm leaving soon anyway.
I mean, it's a crazy situation. I mean, obviously it's going to be a long period to go, but you've got to really think we're nearly 2 weeks into it now. I guess. Do you feel like time's gone quick, or do you think time's gone slow?
A mixture. It does. It feels a while since we were in the studio, for sure. But
it does. It seems like that's gone quick, but then I find myself at 3:00 thinking, God, this has been a long 3 hours, and then I'm checking the time. It's still only 4:00.
Yeah. It's really strange.
We've got another 3 months for this.
We could get through it, hopefully. But, of course, welcome to the Top Corner podcast. As always, streaming live from StreamYard. Unfortunately, as I said before, we're not in the studio because the studio's a thing of the past right now. Live from our bedrooms, get in there. As always, as I said, we've got Kieren L and we have Rowan. There's no Kieran D, unfortunately, because he is working in Morrison's stacking shelves. But he's a key worker. So, as Rowan said earlier, up the key workers. Round of applause for them. Round of applause.
For the NHS, we have 506 for the Morrison's work.
Now, the good thing is there is somebody in the stream. If you are watching this on a live on broadcast after, YouTube hasn't been working over the last couple of days in terms of showing things being live. So more than likely, most of you will probably be watching this after it's been streamed live.
There is someone in the stream, yes.
But there is. It's Gareth Bonaldo.
Oh, the legend.
Yeah.
Welcome to the stream, buddy. Nice to see you. The OG of the stream. He wasn't here last week. He's the first one here, dedicated to the cause. And as always, you could be dedicated to the cause as well. If you're on the stream, put throughout the show your comments and your opinions based on the subjects that we will be talking about.
And in the comments as well.
Of course, and we will read every single one of those out. So today, of course, we are running still on the theme of the team of the seasons. It really is biding us time to think about what the fuck to do after we've done all of the team of the seasons. I'm not going to lie, but we are going to be talking today about the La Liga team of the seasons. I have already got an order, which I will show you in a little bit.
It's going to be me last again, isn't it? I know it.
I'm not going to say anything.
You probably know more about the Liga than I do. We do this European football podcast, but I think we all have our favoured leagues. I don't really like Serie A. I'm a big Bundesliga guy.
Bundesliga for me.
I know when it gets to the end of the podcast, we're all sat there going, not Liga, not Liga, anything but Liga. And something tells me when I roll that wheel later on, it's going to be Liga. But we've got loads to talk about today. So we've got our La Liga team of the season predictions, and we've got a little debate topic as well regarding something to do with the Premier League that they're trying to organise for in the summer. So that will be a little bit later on into the show. Of course, last week we talked about a very special show that's come out, coincidentally, on April Fool's. It's Sunderland Till I Die. Has anybody watched it yet?
No, yeah, I'm going to watch it tonight.
Been cleaning all morning, got FIFA to play later, so I'll probably get to it tomorrow. I'll probably binge it tomorrow after. Tomorrow and Friday, really. I watched Tiger King.
I need to watch it.
I keep hearing about that.
I need to watch it.
It's weird. It sounds weird.
Yeah,
I finished Skins last night. Do you know the old Channel 4 show? I watched all 3 seasons in a night.
I can't an old Doctor Who binge. Just
Which Doctor?
David Tennant.
It
got to about 2 a.m. and I was like, "Oh, go on then. I'll binge some." You know, when you get to that time of night where you just don't care what time it is. I'll just watch anything. That was me. You start with Doctor Who and then you end up watching Poker Reese by Dan Negreanu.
That did come from a recommended the other day.
In fact, it's quite funny enough. It came up on my Facebook. There was an advertisement for it was like a Dan Negreanu poker class he was doing.
Wow.
And I wanted to tag you in it because I was like, this is perfect for you when it gets to 4 a.m. at night.
He does answer the start of the YouTube channel. He goes, "This is how I've won so many poker titles." I've seen you watch all your poker titles, Dan.
I know how.
You've lived and breathed Dan Negreanu's life at the poker table.
Thing is, I can't play poker.
I wouldn't say I'm great at it, but I know the basic logistics of poker. But without further ado, should we go into the first piece of the day, which is our La Liga teams, to get them out of the way. We've already got a comment actually. Gav Ronaldo said United look like they're in line to make a lot of moves. If they end up taking Kane from us, I hope we get 2 or 3 quality players, 2 strikers, and or a left or centre back.
Left back or centre back.
Right back.
Right back.
Or Walker Peters. I guess you could give Walker Peters a more permanent. Or Tanganga could move out wide if he's a Tottenham fan.
Very true. He has played right back, I think, once or twice, hasn't he, for Tottenham?
Yeah, everywhere. I mean, for such a young guy, to have such a guy he can be utilised in so many different positions, he's a good one for the future for Tottenham.
He is certainly a good plan. I mean, I'd say left back just for the pure reason of Danny Rose and Ben Davies. I just think they're both quite poor for a team of Tottenham's quality. They've got a lot of work to do.
Who are the left backs in the current market who could go there?
Alex Telles, I think, would be one of the best shouts in terms of big left backs at clubs where they would probably let them go. I think Telles is the best option.
I think Jerusalem's an interesting one to look at. See if he makes the jump from Wolfsburg.
They've not Wolfsburg, one of those teams, aren't they? Where I do feel like very similar to Porto. If they got the right amount of money, then they would take it run essentially.
Well, you've got to think for example, Achraf Hakimi. He can play right back, left back, right mid, left mid, but he's going back to Real Madrid. I hope York definitely.
I think Guerrero's quite a good option as well, but he's another one of those players that I just don't think Dortmund would let him go.
I think they need to keep Hakimi.
I don't think he's good enough defensively, Guerrero. Or Hakimi, really. Hakimi's much better going forward.
They've more flourished in their attacking positions. They can play defence, but you'd rather have them as your wingers. Well,
I agree. I always look at Hakimi and Guerrero, and I think they'd work best in a free back, where they're the left mid to the right mids and the far wide sections.
In fairness, if any team can play 3 at the back, it is Dortmund with Akanji, Zagadou and Hummels, then with Hakimi and Guerrero as the full backs.
To be fair, though, do you think the fact that, for example, I know we've gone from Tottenham to Dortmund, I don't know how, but for example, Rafael Guerrero, leading to his exit could be the fact if Nico Schultz keeps fit, because they signed him this past summer, and if they can keep him fit and keep him as their left wing back, they might not need Rafael Guerrero.
They'll put Guerrero on just that left side, for me personally. Thorgan could play on both sides.
That's what I love about the show, isn't it? We just go on random tangents. We start on one thing, we end up somewhere else, and that's what makes it so good. And of course, for anybody that is watching, do put down your thoughts and opinions throughout the show in the comments, and we will talk about them as we go on. So without further ado, La Liga is the main topic of the day. How did you guys find choosing your teams out for this one?
I quite enjoyed it actually because for once I did some proper research, like more research than I normally do. The only place I struggle is defenders. Was my only one where I'm like, don't have a clue because it's hard to get stats for them. Mm-hmm.
It was a very tough one. I was struggling to find defender clean sheets. When you just search clean sheets, naturally, it just gives you goalkeepers, which was quite annoying.
Whoever started the most games at centre-back would have been credited the same clean sheet as the goalkeeper.
It's very true. You've just got to go through each game then and find out how many they played, which is the real problem.
That might be a problem with one of my centre-backs, but we'll get to him later.
We'll get to it, of course, as we always do. Before, well, not always, it was from last week, we pick out a wheel to decide who goes first, second, third, and fourth. Now, because Kieran D's not here today, I have the very hard task of justifying his players without any knowledge of why he's picked them. So
has he picked Suso again? Just a different league?
Not going to say. Maybe he has. I can definitely tell you it hasn't. But of course, as I said before, the wheel has decided who is going to be playing this week. So, as you can see on the screen, first
it went quicker this time. It went quicker.
Exactly. Kieran D.
Of course, it
was. More merrier. I've got to do Kieran D's because then after that was mine. So back to back for me. In third, who will be taking it third? There is no Java update available. Rowan, you're not this week. You are third, which means, just to clarify, to make sure
Kieran I wonder who it's going to be.
Is indeed last. We just had to make sure. It could have shown us completely differently, but Kieran now will be going last.
We're still last, boys. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Welcome to the stream, BT. It's not showing up on my comment section, but it's put, I love Messi. Oh, now it has. There we go. I love Messi. There we go.
I love Messi too.
Well, I tell you what, Messi, I'm pretty sure is probably going to be in all of our teams. So without further ado, I will go straight into Kieran D's La Liga team of the season.
Lads, I forgot something again.
Go to the bottom right, Josh.
I got there in the end. It's because my keyboard's been messing up again. Same problems. But this is Kieran D's La Liga team of the season. Now, I've put facts down. What I didn't realise is practically every single fact has got something to do with Alaves. That wasn't even intentional.
This fact confuses me. Granada sit ninth, which is the highest finish in the Liga since Alaves. What do you mean the highest finish?
They're a promoted team?
Yep, they're a promoted team. I just didn't have enough space to fit on the promotion part. Alaves finished ninth that season as well. Give you some clarification over the fact. It's not a fun fact. It's just a fact. It's Rafa Benitez, but a fact. So we start off in net. We've got ter Stegen, of course, Barcelona sitting top of La Liga this season. And we have Courtois, who's had 12 clean sheets, which is the most in La Liga as of this season. His left back, he's gone for Reguilon, who is at Sevilla on loan from Real Madrid. And he's also picked S2 Pinan, which I haven't picked in my teams. So if anybody's got any decent background information on S2 Pinan, that would be greatly appreciated.
He's 22-year-old and he's on loan from Watford at Osasuna. And he will be making appearance last team in the lot.
There we go. Thank you very much. You've saved me on that one. His defence, he's gone for Varane and Ramos as his main two defenders. Of course, Varane having a pretty good season at Real Madrid. Ramos as well. I think he's picked up 12 or 13 clean sheets this season in La Liga. He leads the line for Real Madrid. And his backup options, he's picked Gené and he's picked Felipe of Atletico Madrid. He's come in and done a pretty good job at Atletico Madrid since he's arrived from FC Porto. And his right backs, he's gone for Carvajal, 3 goals and 5 assists, I think, this season at right back. And he's gone for Nelson Semedo of Barcelona as well for his back line. He's gone for a back four for this one. I mean, I question Semedo, but is there anyone else that people question?
Carvajal, just because it's quite an attacking stat he's chosen. I mean, obviously, Real Madrid have got the best goals. Sorry, Real Madrid have got the best goals conceded record. So
I'll defend Carvajal because he's in my team. But I don't think there should be that many Real Madrid players in the back. Like, I mean, I think Courtois actually ahead of ter Stegen, and then I think maybe Felipe ahead of Ramos, but that's again because he's in my team.
I'd put Courtois ahead of ter Stegen. I wouldn't put ter Stegen in there, but well.
Yeah, I wouldn't probably put Stegen in. I'm interested with the option of Jenny, to be honest.
Jenny's a great shout.
He's not a bad shout, to be fair.
He's not in mine, but I
Getafe
agree.
Third most clean sheets, I think, though. Their goalkeeper had 11, I think.
Their goalkeeper's got 11 clean sheets. He's in my team, so I'll justify him a little bit later on. But they've
I
been
agree
really,
with his
really
backline. I do agree with his Varane and Ramos. They've only conceded 19 goals this season. What more do you want from a centre back pairing?
It's an impressive stat. It's a very, very impressive stat, and I think that if I had to pick one there that I feel is a bit questionable, it's probably Nelson Semedo.
How many games has he played this season?
I'll have a look for you. I don't think he's played as many as people expect him to. I think a lot of the time, Sergio Roberto has been playing as well.
I thought he played more than Roberto.
Nelson Semedo this season has played. If it comes up, let me get transfer market up. Give me 2 seconds.
I'm on it. He's played 21 games, had no goals, no assists, 1 yellow card.
Might be defensively though.
I think right back's probably the weakest position out of all of the positions. The full backs.
Well, I said to you, I think Kappa deserves a little bit of a shout.
Yeah, Athletic Bilbao this season have conceded, I think like third or fourth least goals in the league. I think 21. Yeah. It was around the 20s area that they'd conceded goals wise.
And scored a brace from right back. That's
it's very rare to see that. In fact, Athletic Bilbao this season they have conceded 23 goals, which is one of the least in the league. I mean, Real Madrid have only conceded 19 this season. As I said, Courtois keeping 12 clean sheets, the most in La Liga. So, some interesting shouts to the back line there from Kieren D.
I think it's a fair enough choice. None of them are like, oh my god, I can't believe he's chose. It's just
I agree on that one. They are understandable shouts, and they could
exactly.
for a shoe in.
There's no Susos yet, which is
not yet. We're moving to the midfield. He's gone for Parejo in the holding midfielder role, and he's gone for Sergio Busquets for his CDM position. And his 2 flat midfielders, he's gone on the left-hand side for Martin Odegaard of Real Sociedad, on loan from Real Madrid. He's also gone for Porto of Real Sociedad as well, which is a very undermined player. He's got 8 assists this season. I don't think I haven't put him in my team, and I wanted to, but he's got the second most assists in La Liga. He's put him in the midfield role. And on the right-hand side, he's gone for a Real Madrid option once again, this time with Valverde, of course, the Uruguayan on the right, and Casemiro as well.
I'd have Casemiro ahead of Valverde because besides Messi and I think it was Suarez, Casemiro's got the highest average rating of a player per match.
He's also got the most interceptions in the league.
He has indeed, yes.
Yeah, so that'd be... Because if you're playing... The only 2 players playing consistently better than you is Messi and Suarez. You're doing something right.
Well, exactly. That's. I think a lot of people will have probably gone for Casemiro in the team. I mean, I'll probably ask now: Has everybody gone in there and put Casemiro in?
If I didn't put him in, I meant to put him in, so I've got him on my notes, but I don't know whether I actually rate him in. I may have forgot, but.
He's well worth in there for a shout, as you said. Most interceptions, he's definitely in there for a reason. Somebody's just asked a quick question in the comments of how do I donate. I'll send you a link now if you are wanting to donate. I'll put a link in the chat for you. Be greatly appreciated if you are thinking of doing so. So thank you very much. Porto as well, as I said, very undermined shout. Second most assists in the Liga and has probably gone under the radar. A lot. Yep.
What was the Porto that used to play for Girona?
That was that guy there, Porto. That was the Porto.
I didn't know he was a centre mid. I thought he was a winger.
No, yeah, he used to play as a winger, and then they moved into a centre forward position. So realistically, he's more of a forward play for the side, but he's put him as a midfielder, which I'm guessing he's probably put him in there. Just on the fact that he wanted to get him in because he got the second most assists in the league.
Yeah.
And as for Martin Odegaard, I think that's a very fair shout in terms of being deserved to be in there this season. Of course, a revelation.
What do you think of Danny Parejo? Because let's be fair, he carries Valencia most of the time. Do you think he's deserving? I personally don't have Parejo, but I do have a Valencia midfielder.
So do I, from the Nordic region. But
same.
I think there's another Valencia player who deserves to be in there over him. Possibly you could even put Busquets ahead of Parejo, but when we talk about it, it's always personal preference. Sorry, Josh.
I do think there is a lot of midfielders. I think this was the most open position for the options available to you in terms of the midfielders that can and can't be in there. I do think Pereira's been quality. He's obviously their set piece takers for Valencia, but I don't think I'd have put him in there compared to the rest of them.
Parejo is the Valencian Milivojevic.
That is fair shout. He is their set piece taker. BT has asked us, where are you guys from?
Manchester.
Halifax.
Rotherham.
Halifax.
It says it comes from Algeria. BT put, I really love the Algerian league, and then he put, I love you.
I love you too.
Love in the chat. We love it.
I love Algeria. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Mandy, the centre back.
Mahrez.
Yeah, Faguli, Brahimi. Come on, Tider from the MLS, good player. Come on, help me out, lad.
Silimani,
yeah, great player. Bellume, Madja.
He sounds like a cheese.
He's definitely the Algerian.
Do you just want to offend all the Algerian? He sounds like a cheese. He sounds like I'll write that on there.
We'll move on to his attack. Should we go for it?
Ben Sabani.
There you go.
Sabani.
Do you know what? Realistically, I know it's going off topic, but Algeria does have a lot of underrated players.
When are we going to do our Algerian team of the season? Just Algerian players.
We do like the African Cup of Nations where we just go through each African team.
Oh. Nabil Bentaleb.
Oh yeah, Bentaleb.
That'll get us through till September.
Ghazal.
Oh, that's us sorted now, guys. We're sorted for the rest of the year.
Go through every nation.
Kieran Unas. The legend.
Adam Unas.
Yeah, Adam Unas. It's endless, isn't it? In terms of Kieran D's attack, on the left-hand side, it's endless, isn't it? On the left-hand side, we've got Ayarzabal, and on the left-hand side, of course, once again, another Real Sociedad player. He's also gone for a Campos as well of Sevilla.
He's a right winger, isn't he?
A Campos is close to making my team. I said to you, Josh, that he was better than Suso. Do you know when Suso was like getting all the plaudits? I thought Campos deserved him.
It's very underrated. I mean, he only moved from Marseille to Sevilla at the beginning of the season. £12 million deal that was, and I think Sevilla will be looking at that and thinking, we absolutely got a bargain for that price. Yeah. I mean, quality player. I think he's got. I think he's something like 8 goals, 4 assists around that kind of area. He's got a couple of assists, a couple of goals here and there, and he's definitely worth a shout in terms of being in people's forwards list. We've got a message from Chloe. She says, "Please tell me no one supports Leeds United."
No
one supports Leeds United in here. No one supports Leeds United in here. On the right-hand side, he's, of course, gone for Messi. Top goals and top assists in La Liga. Absolutely no question of a doubt that Messi should be in there. And
if you haven't put Messi, you're a psychopath.
Yeah, I can officially agree with you on that one. And Gerard Moreno as well, Villarreal. He is in the top scorers list. He's got 11 or 12 goals this season.
Yeah, he deserves to be in there.
Is a quality player, and he's been playing in a very different position to what you would usually expect him to play. Of course, previously playing as a striker back in the days, now moved to the right-hand side and seems to be excelling a lot more than he did at the striker position, which is quite strange. But he's working, and he's working a charm for Villarreal. So fair play to him on that one. And of course, his front two, he's gone for Karim Benzema, who is once again, he's up there in the top scorers list, has really been one of the catalysts this season for Real Madrid as they try and fight for the title. And of course, he's gone for Luis Suarez as well. Although Suarez is out injured for pretty much the rest of the season, he's gone for a player who is still in the top scorers list, fairly quite up there, which is...
I think... Yeah, he's in the top scorers list, but if you think about how many games we've already missed, I think he will drop out of there if we had all the games played.
Oh, 100%. He'd have dropped out.
That's what I've sort of took into account when I've chosen mine.
To be fair, that's like Vardy in the Prem. He took a few weeks off injured, yet he still remained the top goal scorer. I think that proves how good he was.
True,
Whereas I think Suarez, other people are surpassing him, so he hadn't set too much of a... I don't want to say he didn't set too much of a high benchmark. It's not his fault he got injured.
No.
But I just think there's been players that are... But as I say, second second highest rated off a consistent basis, just behind Messi. As you say, he's doing something right.
I mean, I think overall, you look at the team and as we said earlier in terms of the defenders, there's no players in there where you look at them and you think to yourself, they shouldn't be in there. They all definitely have a reason as to why they deserve a spot. So I think Kieran's picked a pretty solid team there, in my opinion. I think the position that should change the most is maybe the back line. But apart from that, I think it's pretty good shout.
Yeah, and it's just for me, switch keeper.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you on that one, which is why we'll go on to my team next, which is looking a little bit like this, if it wants to work. It's not going.
I've just realised with every podcast, it's just going to be, because we do it at 5 now, it's just going to be me eating a different meal. So today I've got
there we go.
Fish finger sandwich.
Oh, get in there. What was it?
I made myself
pasta last week.
Pasta, there we go. So this is my team. I have gone, as you can see on the side, of course, for the first season straight, Lionel Messi is leading the goals and assists in the Liga. He's in the side as well, but I'll start with my back line. I start with Courtois, of course, this season. You've got to consider last season he was catastrophic in the Real Madrid goal, to put it nicely. And he's really proved himself this season why he can make mistakes at time, but he still has a good reputation as a goalkeeper. 12 clean sheets, of course, the most in La Liga. Well-deserved spot. And I've gone for David Soria, who, in my opinion, deserves a spot more than ter Stegen. 11 clean sheets this season for Getafe. They're up there with one of the best defensive records in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think there had to be at least one Getafe player getting into this side to be well worth a shout of being in the back line for the team this season. Mm-hmm. On the left-hand side, I've gone for the same with Kieren. For the starting left-back, I've gone for Reguilon of Sevilla. I think the loan move has helped him massively. Sevilla look for a Champions League spot. They sit in third currently in the league. And my other left-back spot isn't a left-back. I did struggle with that. I could have gone for S2 Pinan, but I felt harsh if I didn't put Salisu in there, the Real Valladolid centre-back. Now, Real Valladolid on paper aren't the best team, but defensively, it's quite surprising how many goals that they've conceded this season. Very, very few. For the back line that they've got, they should be conceding a lot more. And one of the reasons as to why is Salisu. So I definitely do think he 100% deserves a spot in there. My centre-backs, I've gone for Ramos and Piqué. Ramos, of course, I said before in Kieran D's, he's got one of the most defender clean sheets in the league. And Piqué, I do think a Barcelona centre-back deserves to be in a shout. They are top of the league. I'm just trying to find out how many goals they've conceded this season. 31, which is quite a lot. But I do think that Piqué has been the best defender. A lot around the club in terms of centre-backs, especially in the last couple of years, has changed.
You
and
think
one has been Piqué.
Do you think Lenglet's not been better?
I mean, Umtiti, no.
Umtiti's injured.
I'm just naming centre-backs, to be honest.
It's well worth a shout. And I mean, you could either put Piqué or Lenglet in there, to be honest. But I think Piqué has had a lot over the last couple of years to work with. If there's one player who's been there and seen the whole club change around him, it's Piqué. And to work with a team, I know they conceded 31 goals, which is 12 more than Real Madrid. It's 2 more than Sevilla. But at the end of the day, they're still at the top of the league. And they could have conceded a lot more goals, in my opinion, if Piqué wasn't there. So that's why I've put Piqué in there. My other 2 centre-backs, I've gone for Felipe. As I said, once again, although Atletico Madrid, in my opinion, are struggling this season in 6th because of their rebuild. They've only conceded 21 goals, the second best defensive record in the league. And Felipe has to be in the team. I mean, to come in and to take the place of Diego Godin is already a big ask. And he's filled the boots immaculately well. And you cannot look at the defensive back line and blame them for the issues at the club, because it almost certainly is the attack, no offence to them, where the problem has lied. So Felipe's in there.
Well, they're relying on João Felix, and he's like 19.
Exactly. And you look at the likes of Morata and Costa, they're just not working this season to the best of their strengths and struggling big time. On the right-hand side, I've gone for Diego Carlos. There's a reason why he was linked to Liverpool quite recently. He's been stunning. I mean, he came in from FC Nantes from France. Not really much was expected of him. And he has come to La Liga and shown why he's a top-quality defender. I mean, the guy is potentially within a shout of being called up to the Brazilian team. And fair play to him. He's done really, really well at Sevilla as they sit third and hopefully push towards that Champions League spot. Right back, I've gone for Carvajal. It's not just about the attacking stats. Carvajal has certainly improved defensively. Obviously, Real Madrid have conceded 19 goals this season, which is the least amount of goals in the league. And although realistically we look at Real Madrid and we think to ourselves they're not as good as they used to be, if I had to pick one player that wasn't Ramos that was doing the best at the back line, it probably would be Carvajal.
Yeah.
So I picked him out. And then I'm not going to lie, I did struggle for another right back. I kind of wish maybe I put Kappa in there now. I put Emerson in there. To be honest, I do wish I put Kappa in there instead. It's more the fact that he came in from Brazil. Barcelona, of course, picked him up. He's not Real Batista's player. He was picked up by Barcelona. He came into a league he never played in before. And realistically, although Real Batista have conceded 43 goals this season, he has been a solid player for the club. They've had a lot of injury problems and struggles with their big name players. But if I'm not going to lie, I kind of want to change that to Kappa now. Because I think Kappa...
I'll change one of mine later. I'll give you Kappa if you let me change one of mine.
That's fine. Emerson's gone. Emerson's gone. Realistically, I put Kappa in there instead. Like I do feel like I underappreciated Kappa a lot. Athletic Bilbao only conceding 23 goals this season, and you have to think the way Bilbao works as a club is different to any other club in the world. And fair play to him. I mean, Kappa's scored a couple of goals this season, and to only concede 23, very similar to Atletico Madrid, they've just struggled up top. So I'd have Kappa in there instead.
In fairness, I've just realised I'm surprised no one's put an Atletico Madrid centre back in yet. I don't think. Have they?
Felipe.
No. Oh yeah, Felipe.
Because I'm about to say they're on 21. They've only conceded 21 goals this season. It's only 2 behind Madrid.
I mean,
Real star.
I was tempted to put Oblak in there as well because the thing with Oblak is it's not just about the clean sheets; it's about the goals conceded. I think.
You look at Oblak, and I don't know if that's still the stat that stands, but hasn't he played more games than goals conceded?
I believe that stat
if that stat still stands. I don't know how long that if that stat still stands, but I remember either early this season or late last season that was the stat. And to be a goalkeeper and not concede as many goals as games played, that's conceding less than one a game. I don't know a goalkeeper like it.
I don't think I've ever heard of a goalkeeper that's had more clean sheets.
To me, he's the best keeper in the world.
100%. I do think he's up there for the best in the world. And if he'd have been in the likes of the Premier League doing that, he would be called the best in the world.
Yeah, I know.
I just don't think a team like Atletico Madrid gets as much appreciation compared to a Barca or a Real Madrid. Hence why, ter Stegen gets a lot of the plaudits when Oblak does a lot of the hard work for Atletico Madrid.
What I think I will say is, though, ter Stegen deserves to be starting for Germany.
Oh, 100%. 100% agree on that one. I mean, Gareth Ronaldo, by the way, he put FC Nantes ? And then he said Arsenal.
we should start going Nantes, just FC Nantes.
FC Nantes, not Nantes. Midfield-wise, I've gone for Casemiro. Once again, very similar to what you guys said earlier. Most interceptions in the league. Seriously, you cannot go wrong. And it was very tough for the other position because it was between Busquets and Thomas Partey. But we had to have a Partey in the midfield.
I think Partey's been better.
I had to put Partey in the midfield because year on year, I think he has got better and better as a player. Rowan's gone. See you later. And no, honestly, Partey has got better year by year. I think this has been the biggest year of his career at Atletico Madrid since he's joined. And it's scary to think that I think he's been wanted by a lot of big clubs for years now and they've never really got him.
I think it depends what you mean by big clubs. Like, I think Arsenal is a good fit for him. I think Arsenal is the level he can expect to go. Like you could see him at Liverpool, but would he start week in week out? Probably not. He wouldn't start week in week out at the upper echelons of the Premier League. But if he wants to be a consistent starter, I think he starts looking at that fifth, sixth area.
Yeah, I mean, I thought in a way he would have been a pretty decent fit for United as well. To be honest, I was very surprised United never went in. Oh, 100%. The thing is, when you learn from Simeone as well, you learn the tricks of the trade in terms of defensive play. I mean, Simeone himself was remarkably good defensively wise as a player.
I mean, look at how he turned Kieran Trippier around in that second leg. The thing about Kieran Trippier was he could not defend. And I said in the summer when I was talking with my friend on another show, I said, if there's anyone that can turn Trippier into a solid defender, it's Simeone. If you want to be a defender, you go to Simeone because he will make you world class. Who'd heard of Godin before? I know he was a good player, but he made him great.
Well, that's the thing. He was never in the shout for Ballon d'Or until Simeone.
Or team of the year. I don't think he was ever in the shout for Ballon d'Or.
I think he was up there. He was in the top 25.
Yeah, no, I think in terms of when we look at like the FIFA Pro 11, I think he has always been unfortunately shunned away because of Ramos and Piqué. But I think when he was in that league, he was the best centre back in that league.
100% by country mile. I agree with you on that one.
Credit to Simeone because I mean you look at some of the players that he's got, and they shouldn't be as good defensively as they are because they've not got the best defense with the biggest names.
No, and obviously, like Godin, as you said at the time, wasn't the biggest defender in the world as he was. And you look at him now, even at Inter, he's doing well. Midfield-wise, from the actual flat midfield section, I've gone for Toni Kroos. It's an interesting one, Toni Kroos, because you probably look at it and you question it. But I think Toni Kroos this season, if you put him against the rest of the midfielders, Modric, for example. Modric has fallen off the face of the earth. And I ask you a question. Now, it's not to do with La Liga, but would have Kroos changed the game against Manchester City had he been on the pitch? I think he would have.
Are you talking in the first leg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Kroos is that important to Real Madrid.
I think he is the dictator of that midfield. He decides the speed of the play. He decides how we're going to play, what style of play we're playing. I think
he's their
Modric. Yeah, but Modric, for example, people always argue that he didn't deserve the Ballon d'Or. He did for what he did. But Kroos is the consistent. He's not had one season where he's been a starter, but without him, that team falls apart.
If you think about
that's exactly how I describe it.
If you think about some of the top teams, they've all had a midfield that you could go, boom, he's controlling that midfield.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about players in football, first name on the team sheet, and I look at Barcelona, it's Busquets. Kroos is, for me, the first name on a Real Madrid team sheet ahead of everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way he is. He's molded himself. I mean, you look at when he was at Bayern, obviously he wasn't in the limelight because he had Schweinsteiger and players like that around him that was quite simply just on another level at that time. But he came into Real Madrid, and even at that point, theoretically, he wasn't the player that he wanted to be in the limelight because he got the likes of Xavi Alonso who were dictating the play. And I think ever since Xavi Alonso left and moved on, Kroos was given the chance to become that mold of a player. Exactly. And I think, season on season, there's never been a season where we've gone, Toni Kroos has been rubbish. Even at the World Cup, when Germany was struggling, he was the one that was trying so hard.
I do it often. I go back and watch World Cup, all goals in the World Cup, and I watched this one, and the two players that stood out for me were Kroos and Heung-min Son. Just in terms of the goals in terms of the goals when you see them being scored, them two players were always there.
Were you talking about the goal against Sweden with the free
one
kick?
that cost the guy that bet?
Yeah, I was about to mention that where he said Toni Kroos to score from outside the box, and it was on the line inside. I was like, oh, you poor thing.
I felt so sorry for him. It was just a whisker away from being outside the box. That's why I put Kroos in there. I put Frankie de Jong in there as well. I think, obviously it was a big money move from Ajax. And I do feel like he's moulded very well into the Barcelona midfield. I mean, he's going to be a mainstay.
Very successful for his first year.
Very, very successful. I don't think Barca probably expected him to do as well as he's done. Even for the big money, you look at the likes of João Felix and that. I don't think clubs ever expect them to hit the ground running straight away. But I think for De Jong, he's done exactly that and done so well for the club.
What I like about De Jong is he can receive the ball with his back to play and be a transition midfielder. And his turn to go from defence to attack in one fluid motion, for me, is what makes De Jong so brilliant. He has got a football IQ well beyond his years, in my opinion.
It's crazy. He's a crazy, crazy player. And I definitely think they must have been scouting De Jong for years. And I do think they were looking at him to be a Xavi or an Iniesta replacement long before they ever got him.
Do you think he would have genuinely gone if Ajax didn't have that run they had last year?
I think he'd have gone either way, to be honest.
Do you? Right.
Yeah, I think the thing with Barcelona is if they chuck money at you, Barcelona's a very hard club to turn down.
Yeah.
I think
the Liga team.
Yeah.
When you look at these teams, like who are smaller teams with players that are playing much better than they are, I think them runs to me just prolong the inevitable anyway. Like it made it more likely, but it was always going to go somewhere. It just depended where.
I mean, it's Ajax as well. They're used to letting players go and just moulding the next big thing. And I think there are two clubs in world football, even now, that players simply cannot turn down. I mean, you can start realistically bringing other clubs into it, but it's Barca and Real Madrid. They are the two clubs which players struggle and very rarely turn down. And I mean, even if you look at clubs like Liverpool now, realistically, there will still be players around the world that would turn Liverpool down. But if Barcelona and Real Madrid came, they'd still go.
I think Juventus are up there now. I think the addition of Ronaldo made them a more appetizing proposition for a lot of players. And I think what they've got building there with the signing of De Ligt as well, especially, I think in the next coming years, hopefully we see Juventus, because it's been a while since they've won the Champions League.
Yeah, it's been a very, very long time for them. Very long time.
I think also, like with a big team, imagine if you're a striker and they say, we've got Barcelona on the table, you get a chance to play with Messi. If you're a left winger or even a striker and say you can go up to Juventus, you can play with Ronaldo. I think with some teams have got them players. I think for me, Manchester City have got Kevin De Bruyne. I think if you're another midfielder who can play alongside him, or even a winger, you would take the opportunity to play with Kevin De Bruyne. Liverpool, you've got Salah, who is their marquee player. People will go, yeah, I'd love to play with Salah. And that's what you need. And Real Madrid and Messi did have the big ones.
Do you know what, though? I think this is what makes Neymar such an anomaly, because we're saying no one can turn Barcelona down, yet he turned away from Barcelona. He wanted out. I think that proves to me.
I think that's a power thing.
Yeah, I think as well, just because of how Neymar is as a player. Realistically, the players that go to Barcelona and Real Madrid over the last couple of years aren't massive names at that specific point. They become big names when they go there and they show the talent that they've got. But if you look at, I think maybe an anomaly to that was Hazard, but that was an understanding situation because Ronaldo had just gone. They needed somebody to replace him. But I think Neymar at that point was massive. Yeah, Bale is another a good example. But I think at that point Neymar was massive, and he wanted to show the world that he could do it without Messi or Suarez.
Messi or Suarez, yeah.
But probably picked the wrong club to go to.
Definitely. No.
I think it's a waste of a career for a player of his quality.
If they did well in the Champions League, but because they somehow just don't like the Champions League on fire with that attack, I
think Neymar was plopped into a difficult situation when he got outshone by Mbappe. I don't think he expected that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody from the club ever expected Mbappe to become the player that he was. I mean, they spent a lot of money on him, but for how well Mbappe has developed as a player, pretty much. It was a long-term investment for them. But I mean, it's crazy, isn't it?
With a shout of Ballon d'Or in like his first, how old is he? Like 21?
2021.
21, and he was didn't he come third in the Ballon d'Or?
It's
Austin's
unbelievable.
Stupid like that.
It's honestly, it's unbelievable to play that Mbappe is.
He is. Fucking get his age. 21.
Yeah,
Born on the 20th of December.
Wow.
It's
crazy.
It's strange that, for example, like Neymar left to get out of Messi's shadow, and I feel he's such a big ego that unless you don't have another world-class player, but is he going to want to go to a team that's not got work? He's just a difficult player for me to try and put my finger on what he is.
It's very difficult to see Mbappe's future path as well, because you just don't know what his aspirations are as a player and where to go if he ever wants to leave PSG. Obviously there's the shouts of Liverpool quite recently, but Barca and Real Madrid, it's a weird one. I don't really see where he'll go in the future for his aspirations. But on the right-hand side of the midfield, I've gone for Santi Cazorla. The reason why I've gone for Santi Cazorla is if there are two players that stand out for Villarreal this season, it's Gerard Moreno and Santi Cazorla. This season, Cazorla has had 14 goal contributions for the club out of a possible 44 that are available to him. So, what a player. He's had obviously all those injuries and problems where he genuinely thought he was going to have to retire. Came back to the Liga and just proves that he just gets better with age. He's one of those players where he could probably keep going for another 2-3 years because he's got that much quality about him. And I think if you look at the other Spanish midfielders that are old and getting on, for example, Cesc Fabregas, it's crazy to think that realistically, not saying for an entire career, but as of current, Santi Cazorla is playing 500 times better than Fabregas is. And Santi Cazorla had all those injuries. And I know it's different leagues and it's different that realistically Liga is not as big as La Liga is, but I just think Santi Cazorla's quality.
I think if you look at a player that defines the word magician on a football pitch, I think Cazorla's that player. I think he is so, for what he's been through as well. That's a hell of a lot of injuries, and obviously we talk about footballers, everyone get injured, but he was a different scenario. He may not be able to walk properly, let alone
an amputation situation.
It was,
it was either that or they had to take a piece of skin. So he's got half of a tattoo on his ankle now because the other half of it was where they took the skin from.
I saw that's pretty cool, that in fairness.
Skin graft that they took or something like that.
It was a massive skin graft that he had to undertake, and it took so long. And I think he even said in one of his biographies, something like that, he said he genuinely thought he was going to have to retire because of the amount of time it was going to undertake, the process of rehabilitation and things like that. But to come back and to do what he's doing, I think if you, as you said yourself, Kieran, if you look at magicians, he's up there even now. You look at Spanish players like Mata and David Silva and Fabregas over the years. Realistically, out of all those, he's the one that's performing the best. And there's a reason why Spain want to call him up again. And even at his age.
On the ball, he's not many better in world football.
No, he's so gifted as a player, and it's unfortunate, but it's the story that Abu Diaby probably wanted in his career, not Cazorla's.
Yeah. I'll never forgive him for the free kick in the FA Cup final. I'll never forgive him.
But that just shows how good of a player he was. He's just gifted. Naturally gifted. And Odegaard as well in the midfield. Realistically, he's the young version of the talented player. It was only like a year or two ago where Odegaard was getting written off as a player, and his career looked like it was going to go down the same road that maybe players like Hachin Mastor at Milan had gone through. But he went to Sociedad and wow. He's just hit the ground running, hasn't he?
Revitalised his career. And him and now they've got Alex Isak as well. I'd like to see that young side kind of go. Yazabal is another one who you forget's like 22.
Yeah.
There's a nice little...
I'd like Sociedad to sign him permanently, but there's just no chance of that happening because I think Real Madrid at this stage will get rid of James Rodriguez and players like that, and I think they will start trying to use Odegaard.
If he'd have been rubbish this year, they might have got him for cheaper. So what they should have said is just be crap.
Yeah,
1 year.
1 year.
That's why I feel bad for Hakimi, because if he would have just been average at Dortmund, they wouldn't have to pay so much for him.
Gareth Ronaldo's put Mbappe to Hull, let's do it, YouTube Hull Road to Glory. I'll talk a bit about that later on.
Do you want me to post you my shirt? You can have my shirt for the...
In terms of the attack-wise, very, very, very similar to Kieran D. Left-hand side, Oyarzabal and Campos. I've already talked about them in Kieran D's. Pretty much the same opinions as Kieran D on that one. On the right-hand side, I've gone for Messi, of course, most goals, most assists. 19 goals, 12 assists. He's done that for 3 seasons straight. Now that Ronaldo's out of the way, even when Ronaldo was there, Messi was still doing that. And as you said very, very perfectly earlier, Rowan, if you haven't picked him, you're stupid. And João Moreno in there as well, of course, as I said earlier. 2 of the standout players for Villarreal. Mm-hmm. I've also picked Benzema as well. I think Benzema, we've talked about it before in one of the podcasts. It was ages ago, and we talked about Benzema for like a good 15 to 20 minutes about how underappreciated he is as a striker. Yeah. That pretty much perfectly describes him. I mean, I loved how quite recently over the last week, Benzema came out about Giroud and said quite a very not a nasty comment, but a comment where I went, do you know what? It sounds harsh, but I agree with him.
Is it why wouldn't you want an F1 car rather than a go-kart?
That's the one. I thought, do you know what? It's a harsh one, but it's perfectly true that Benzema is just 100 times the player that Giroud ever was in his career. And there's no offense to Giroud, because Giroud on his day is quality.
No. If I needed an extraordinary, unnecessarily special goal, I would call Giroud.
Scorpion kick.
I mean, there's things, like Giroud not being a bad player. That's the thing about Giroud. He wasn't. No. He's never been crap. He's been solid. And just because he didn't score those goals for France at the World Cup didn't mean he didn't play well. That wasn't the aim of the game. But Benzema, as I said, he's up there for, even when Ronaldo and Messi are there, he's always up there for top goals every season. And I do think that Benzema will probably stay with the club for another season or 2, maybe go back to France and retire, but he will go down in Real Madrid folklore. I do think as a player in 10 to 15 years time, they'll look back and they'll realise maybe we underappreciated Benzema for the player that he was.
I agree definitely.
And the last player I've picked is Lucas Perez, who is one of the only players to ever turn down Barcelona because he had the chance to move in January but chose not to.
Martin Braithwaite went instead.
Braithwaite went instead, which might just have gone down good or bad. But Lucas Perez has actually scored, and it is one of the facts that I've got on the screen later on. He scored 55% of Alaves' goals this entire season. I mean, of course, at Arsenal, he was an outcast of the side, which I never understood because he was absolutely quality in the games that he played for Arsenal. And of course, when the interest of Barcelona came in, he quite clearly said he didn't want to go down the same route as what happened at Arsenal, which quite frankly, I totally understand. Being an outcast when you were playing so well, I totally understand as to why you wouldn't want to go to Barcelona. But to be at Alaves, getting 11 goals this season, 55% of the team's goals is just unbelievable. And he really will be one of the reasons why Alaves does survive this season. And a lot of the plaudits can go to him. And it's weird because he's always been an ever consistent player. Even before he was at Arsenal, before he moved away, he was absolutely solid in the Liga. Went to Arsenal, was solid there, then got shipped off.
He just didn't suit English football, I don't think, because he is one of them that requires time to pick his place. Do you know, like, if you go one up, like finishing wise, there's no problems.
He's exceptional.
He hasn't got much strength. He hasn't, he doesn't have much assets to his game, so he needs time on the ball to pick a point, and he'll score.
In fairness, we just talk about players who don't fit in to the English mold. It seems to be a lot of Spanish strikers. Morata didn't really fit in, did he?
No.
Couldn't get not a start, but not looking at Chelsea.
I mean, the one standout Spanish striker, obviously in recent years, is Diego Costa. At Chelsea, but yeah, I do think Lucas Perez did fit the mold. I do think, in the very short appearances that he had, he came on and he impressed. And at that point when Arsenal were struggling under Wenger, the amount of shouts that fans were demanding of Lucas Perez to come on, and even like the likes of Arsenal fan TV and all the videos of Arsenal fans online were screaming out for Perez to start, and he never got a chance. And it's a shame because I do think if he'd have got a chance, he probably would have hit the ground running and maybe have got a run in the team. But
he did fail at West Ham as well.
Yeah,
but that's true. But that was after.
Who was starting over at Arsenal?
It would have been at that point. I think it was Giroud.
Or maybe they had Welbeck as well, but Welbeck was always injured.
Yeah.
I think Welbeck at that point would have been at Man U. I think it was Giroud, and then it was the start of either Lacazette or Aubameyang. I think maybe Lacazette had just been on like the rumours of coming in. So I think it's a shame because he could have been a different player. But that's my La Liga team this season. I probably banged on for it too much. So
no.
There we go. That's mine.
Final explanation, so don't worry.
So, Rowan.
Yeah.
Talk us through yours then.
I just like to talk about my kit. It's a lovely colour scheme. Go for the orange and the green. The green really matching the grass, the orange to shine bright like these players have done in La Liga.
Looks like our pro club's kit.
I was about to say the same thing, Josh. That is our pro club's away kit.
But we will start off with the goalkeeper. I've gone for Courtois first. He's got the most clean sheets in La Liga. Real Madrid, letting 19 goals. I'm pretty confident. I don't have the number. I think, is it 12 clean sheets he's on?
12 clean sheets this season, yep.
And then instead of going for Oblak, and there was one more, I've gone for Simon.
Is that Unai Simon of Bilbao?
Yes. I can check. Sorry.
Not Moses Simon, the left mid from
Moses Simon.
Yeah, I'll put him in there because he's got a great clean sheet. No, he's fourth, but he's got a better percentage record in terms of, I think he's 10 clean sheets, but he's played 5 less games than the 2 people above him. Or 4 less games. So I thought I'd go for something different. Now, this is where I struggled with my fullbacks. I've gone for Gamez and Monreal because when I checked, they had the most interceptions in their respective positions. And then I submitted to Josh and I just had a quick check of everything. It was at the end of 2019 that I checked my stats. So that may have changed. So my full
I think Real's a fair enough shout. Jesus Gamez, though.
Yeah.
Just at the time of when I was looking at the stats, he was there, so that's why I did him.
That's understandable. Like Monreal, I do think that's a pretty
I agree with that
shout. The Gamez one, of course, is fair in the situation of the stats wise. I mean, maybe he might still be up there now. Because obviously, if you're in a weaker team, you are going to get more chances of interceptions and things like that. So
that's a good excuse for my centre back and why he shouldn't be in the team. I'm going to make him in there.
There you go. I've made you a little bit of an option there for why he's in.
Yeah.
And then for my centre backs, I've gone for Ramos and Varane, both Real Madrid centre backs. I explained earlier why I think they should. If your 2 centre back pairings have got the best defensive record in the league, and you're only conceding 19, where the next team, obviously you've got Atletico, but 19 goals conceded is nothing considering you play 20. They've already played 27 games.
Yeah.
So I've gone him there. My 2 things, I've just gone for clearances. So Salisu has got the most clearances and Albiol has got the second most. So that's why I've just went for them. Quite simple ones.
I like that.
So we'll go to my midfield now. I've gone for, on the right side, I've gone for Ruben Alcaraz. He's had made the most passes as a midfielder and has played the most minutes as a midfielder as well. Like in the league, he's played the most minutes. And that's what you want in a centre mid to have to do all this. One player I have missed out is Casemiro, and I realised afterwards I have got him in my note. Just for references, it says there Casemiro most interceptions, so he should be in here. I've got for Frankie de Jong, his debut season. Not really amazing stats, but he's played nearly every game, and he's sort of shining in that Real Madrid, that Barcelona midfield. Obviously coming off his great season at Ajax. Well, his great tenure at Ajax, and he's getting a chance to shine. Then my midfielders, you obviously mentioned earlier, Santa Cazorla, 8 goals, 6 assists. Really not revitalised, but after his injury, he's revitalised. Like you said, getting the Spanish call-up. I've gone for Orellana as my other one. 7 goals, 6 assists. My midfielders are most based on goals. Orellana is someone who, not that I've never heard of him, but I only know him in FIFA because he's Chilean. So, yeah.
You don't know it's pronounced Orellana?
No,
It's Orellana.
exactly. These names are... All right, I'm not good at words, but we'll put him there. And then I've gone for my other midfield. I've gone for Torres.
Oliver.
Or Ruben, one of them. I can't remember. I should have wrote the full name.
Do you know what? That makes it so good. There's two in there. We don't know which one it is, so
but
it
this
leaves
one
it
has got
open to interpretation.
Fernando. He's put Fernando at centre mid.
Fernando. He's got 6 goals, 7 assists. And I've gone for Was as Valencia. He's been one of Valencia's actually standout players. I've been reading some articles. They've all saying he's really stood out. He's got a goal and 6 assists. He's been quite an assist midfielder for them. So that's my midfield. Couple of similar players. For me, I'm surprised that no one's put Ruben Alcaraz in. Just playing the most minutes and the most passes in midfield. I think it should be a shoo-in there.
I disagree.
No, that's fair play. This is what it's all about.
I disagree because most minutes is understandable, but most passes.
I was going to
just
say,
because he's passed around, he could quite easily just tippy tappy around.
Defenders were defenders up higher than him. But
I think the problem when he played for Chelsea. That's all he did.
Yeah, you kind of have to look at the player and think, what does he play as? Does he play as like an attacking midfielder? Does he play as flat? Does he play as defensive? Because I mean, if he'd been an attacking midfielder with the most passes but barely any assists or goals, then it'd make. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't make him look as good.
Oh yeah, no,
but I understand. I understand. It's a fair point.
Well, to be fair, Rowan, I'm going to tear you apart here because do you remember when you had to go at me for Jack Grealish because he was in the bottom 3? Orellana is actually just 1 point above the relegation zone. So why is Orellana?
For starting off in the bottom 3, but I just did it off his stats more than anything. In fairness,
RCD Espanyol who were bottom, their goalkeeper has played the most minutes. So why is he not in there?
Because his goalkeeper I chose based on midfielder. You want a midfielder who can run.
No, it's a fair game. Orellana's a good shout.
Do you know what? It's all open for interpretation. It is all open.
In fairness, Orellana's nearly scored a third of Celta Vigo's goals, and he's a midfielder.
And if you were Kieran D, he's got 2 informs in FIFA, so...
He's not even here to defend himself.
Yeah.
We'll go on to our wingers. I've gone for Messi at right wing. What I said earlier, it'd be stupid not to have him. And I've gone for Moreno again. Messi top scorer, 19 goals, 12 assists. Moreno, 11 goals, 4 assists. And he's a 5th top scorer in the Liga, and he's a right winger. Left wing, I've gone Oyarzabal. Again, you mentioned him before. He's the top scorers out of all the left wings. 8 goals, 6 assists. Same as Santa Cazorla, which is a bit weak, but we'll let him off. And then I struggle for the other left wing, so I went Griezmann. 8 goals, 4 assists as a left wing. He hasn't really stood out, but I said I was going to do it as stats based, and he's up there as the 2nd highest top scorer in left wing. So put him there, and then my strikers have gone Benzema up front, 2nd top scorer. He's the top goal scoring striker, 14 goals, 6 assists. And then my second one, you could put Suarez in there, but if you look at, obviously you've got Real Madrid, the team is Benzema's around, but Suarez obviously has Messi, but Suarez has also been injured, so if you take into account the rest of the games, I've gone for Lucas Perez like before. He's the 6th top scorer, but with Alves, obviously, who are obviously having a decent season, I'd say, rather 14th, but with Lucas Perez getting 11 goals and 5 assists. You're justified why you had him in, and mine's more or less the same point.
I'm going to say something about the Griezmann one.
Go on, that's fine. I understand.
I don't mind him being there, but I would have still probably gone to Campos because Campos has got 10 goals as a left winger.
When I checked, he was on right wing. It was a right winger.
Was he right wing?
He plays both, so
that might be why then. But I don't mind Griezmann as a shout because obviously you've got to think as well. Griezmann has already had the pressure of coming in at Barcelona as their big signing of that season, realistically, and to then have Suarez get injured as well puts even more pressure on you, especially when you've got Ansu Fati coming out of nowhere,
breathing down your neck.
Exactly.
In fairness, Griezmann can play in both positions at least, but
to be fair, I think a Campos would be on my subs bench. To be fair. Over Griezmann, but
yeah, that's fair. No,
I don't mind. I think Griezmann's a pretty decent shout. I think he's probably one that I said none of us have picked him out, and I think, as I said before, when you've got Ansu Fati right next to you, who's when he's having those rare occasions where he's getting games and showing what he can do, even for a player like Griezmann, he's breathing down your neck, and I think he's had a pretty decent season.
especially when,
Barcelona.
Especially when Fat is thingy. How old is he? He's young, isn't he?
He's very, very young.
And if a 17-year-old, 17, 31st, if he's hunting you down and he's 17 years old, you've got to be shitting many bricks.
Exactly. And I've got to say, I think it's a pretty decent team now. There's a couple of very different shouts that maybe a lot of us haven't gone for.
That's what you get when you do your research.
I like the Orellana shout. I think, obviously, Eibar have been struggling. But
my centre-backs now.
Yes, I saw the realised.
Should we have a look at the centre-backs?
Let's go to Kieran's.
No. Right. We've been on all of our 3 teams so far, Kieran D, mine and Rowan's. It's time to have a look at Kieran L's team. Here we go.
Right. I don't have subs because I keep forgetting to put them in, but it's fine. And I don't have Wakaso, but for some reason he's in the fun fact section.
I put this fun fact because it was interesting, right? The fact that Wakaso, 11 yellow cards and 1 red card in 16 La Liga games.
Angry.
But no. Right. Oblak, because for me he's the best goalkeeper in the world, and Courtois has a better defence in front of him than Atletico Madrid does. If it wasn't for him, they'd be a lot further down the table because luckily they don't concede many goals. Because if they conceded goals, they don't score many, they'd be a lot further down.
They'd be
Full
doomed.
credit to Black. Carvajal has been the best defender for me out of Madrid. However, I am going to swap one of my centre-backs because Josh...
Controversial.
Yeah, I'm swapping one out. But yeah, Carvajal for me has been the best defender that they've got, both offensively and defensively. Felipe... Probably the best centre-back from Atletico Madrid. I think other people have included him on the bench. I'd include him in my starting 11 just because I like Atletico Madrid. Ruben Vezo. Now, Ruben Vezo. He has the most, or top 3 blocks or clearances or interceptions or something.
It's going to be one.
He's got one of them.
I'm guessing
Levante, I did check. Levante have conceded 40 goals, so he's being stripped out. And we're putting in Rafa Varane, because I forgot about Varane. So we're putting Varane over Vezo. We'll pretend he doesn't exist. Sorry, Vezo. Left back is Estupinan, a 22-year-old at Osasuna. He was... What did I say to you before the show, Josh? He was top 3 something.
He was top 3 something. I know you said he was from Watford.
And he was from Watford. That was...
how the turns have tabled.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
For once, I've got the notes.
I don't do research for any of these shows. I just know the other leagues better than this one.
Hey, you've just given away all the things to the viewers now.
Wow. Yeah, we don't put any effort into this.
Let's see how many unsubscribed now. They've got no information. What's the point?
No idea. Not when it comes to La Liga. Don't come to me.
At least we did notes, Rowan.
At least we actually did our job properly.
You gave me time to put the show and I just said no.
Wow.
Fair point.
Peek behind the curtain.
3 in midfield. It's pretty much consistent with what everyone said. Odegaard revitalised his career, and I think he's got how many? Was it 6 assists he's got, or around that margin? Daniel Vass has the same. He has I think he's at the 4th highest assists from something like that. But when you're competing against Messi, it's pretty hard to get the top assists in the league. Vass and Odegaard. Casemiro, as I say, 3rd most consistent player in the league behind Messi and Suarez, deserves his position. And then up front, I've gone with Messi. Stupid if you don't put him in. Benzema, I think stupid if you didn't put him as your starter either. And Gerard Moreno, because he's been instrumental to everything Villarreal have done right this year.
I know, obviously, sub-wise. Who would you put in subs-wise if you were just thinking of players off the top of your head to kind of crop in there?
Goalkeeper Courtois. Kappa would be a sub. I'd probably put Ramos. And I'd drop Vezo to sub. I'm leaving Vezo in there. I'm loyal to Vezo. And I'd put Varane in as a starter. Left back, Reguilon. I agree. Midfield, I would probably go with... I think Frankie de Jong deserves to be in there. I'd probably say Busquets and Cazorla. Yeah. It'd be a Campos, Perez, and a Yazabal.
Boom.
Pretty much,
I like that.
Pretty much consistent players with what we've all chosen, really. Because for me, I think, for example, in Serie A, there was more depth in each position to what you could choose. Whereas, as we've said, La Liga this year has not been the most exciting league to watch. It's been a 2-horse race.
No, it's been a 2-horse race, but I mean, it's been interesting to watch the rest of the league below it. I mean, you've got the likes of Granada, for example, who had that great run at the start. Sevilla fighting for the Champions League spots.
I did want to say that I said to you before this. I feel bad for not including a Getafe player because they've been above and beyond what I expected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that one. It's a tricky one because I think the hardest position, in my opinion, to pick out for the whole of the team was the midfield because of the amount of players this season that have been quality in the midfield. I mean, realistically, we've just named there. We've got Vass, Odegaard, Casemiro, Busquets, De Jong, Santi Cazorla, Ruben Alcaraz, Orellana. The list goes on and on and on. I had to say, Roman's put him in there. Ruben Alcaraz is in there. I mean, Gareth Bernaldo. You're welcome, Roman. Real Valladolid he plays for. So realistically, if he's a CDM and he plays a defensive midfield role, realistically, Roman's not wrong. Rowan wouldn't technically be wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm never wrong.
Realistically, you could be right in putting him in there, but Gareth Bernaldo's put that he likes the shout for Vass there.
He is a brilliant player.
And I didn't know he got that many assists, which is why I didn't put him in there.
Yeah.
Surprising thing, Denmark did take him to the World Cup. He was named in the initial team, but then they never took him.
It's just crazy because when you think about it, he's probably one of Denmark's best defenders, to be honest.
He's better than Højbjerg.
Yeah, easily better than Højbjerg is. And obviously you've got like Eriksen and that, but in terms of a flat midfielder that'll do the job, I do think Vass is up there for the Danish midfielders. The very few good Danish midfielders that they've got. But overall, that is our La Liga teams. As you can see, we've all gone for a real mixture of options throughout our team. Obviously, this is Kieran D's team. Again, he went for Porto, who none of us went for. Genet, Semedo, a couple of the other options in his team, Valverde as well, actually, which a very underrated option midfielder-wise. Again, he's been absolutely top quality for Real Madrid since he's come into the side. Of course, my team, inclusion of Lucas Perez, De Jong, Santi Cazorla, Thomas Partey as well. And of course, I put Emerson, but ignore that. That should say Kappa. That's not Emerson. Obviously, Rowan, you went for likes of Griezmann, Ruben Alcaraz, Orellana, Torres in there. Which one we don't know, but it's open to interpretation.
Just figure it out.
I like Unai Simon as well. I do think that's a good shout, considering the amount of goals Bilbao have conceded. Very few amount of goals.
It's just his percentage, that's all.
Yeah, no, I agree on that. I think it's a very low amount. You've got to think, as I said, the way that Bilbao runs as a team is very different to any club in the world.
And to be fair, if you look at our goalkeepers, we've gone with teams that are doing especially well, like Oblak, Ter Stegen and Courtois. Thing is, with Unai Simon, might not get the plaudits because he's not in the top four, or
Yeah, that's why I put David Soria in there as well.
Yeah, there's a Getafe
player. We've got a Getafe player in there just because of how well they played this season. But I think that's been a pretty interesting one, to be honest, La Liga. Very, very different to the rest of them in terms of there are a lot of positions where players were already sorted out that we kind of all were going to pick anyway. The likes of Messi, Gerard Moreno, Campos. Have you found out which player it was?
No, but I forgot to give a shout out to Courtois because he's not just tearing up on the pitch; he's tearing up on the track as well. Competing in all the esports races.
In fact, he did the draw for Fatal as well.
He did
the Thief series, so he's on an absolute roll right now.
Pack.
Oh, you liked a bit there. What did you say?
Oh, he opened my HD Gamers icon pack.
Oh, bloody hell. Just like Rajan Nainggolan, he's been on the scene, hasn't he, recently?
They're everywhere, these pro football. They've got no idea what to do.
Genuinely, this lockdown could be one of the best things just for wackiness. Like, when I tuned in and I just saw Courtois racing against Lando Norris and Will Ennie, I was like, what's going on here?
It's crazy, isn't it? At the end of the day, honestly, it's a weird situation that we're in right now. Now, of course, obviously, in all ways in the show, we would usually go through the team of the week when it is available. So I think right now it's probably just having worth a quick little talk of the terrible team of the week moments, as well as the brand new card that was released today on FIFA, which is Flashback Adel Taarabt.
What a card!
Which you can see on the screen with 5-star skills.
There is an SBC for a bronze player pack, but it's April Fool's Day, so it's not actually a bronze pack, is it? It's a gold pack, but they don't tell you.
Smart. Shame it's probably a terrible pack. But that's the Adel Taarabt card.
Hey, Rowan, that wasn't me. That's them that said that. That's not a crap Kieran joke. That was actually...
And this is the team of the week moments. So as you can see on the screen, Of course, Team of the Week's been replaced over the last couple of weeks due to the leagues being off. So they've replaced it with former Team of the Weeks.
I was going to say, Josh, can we just go through Party, Road to the Final, Robertson Team of the Year, and Milinkovic-Savic storyline, Marquinhos headliners.
Yep.
Aspas, what did Aspas have?
He had a scream card.
Aspas Vela Player of the Month.
Yep.
Verdi Winter Refresh. And then that's it. But out of the starting 11, only 9 of them have got other cards. So
exactly. I mean, it's pretty shocking. They had so many Team of the Weeks that they could have picked from, and they decided to pick the worst one possible.
Yeah.
The thing is, they're not even following the pattern as well. They are literally picking any Team of the Week from any FIFA, and they pick this one. It's honestly, it's depressing. It's genuinely depressing. Gav Bernaldo, as part of you guys got Bundesliga team this season. Well, quite funnily enough, you've set us on to the topic of what we're going to do next week.
Gareth.
Great work. I'll tell you what, Gareth, get you on the podcast. Why not?
He did it without knowing.
So, of course, we do let the wheel decide every single.
Whoa, hold up, just a sec, Josh. Valverde has got a 445 million release clause.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
Is anybody going to trigger that? The answer is no, probably not.
No.
Well, that's crazy. I mean, that proves how good of a player he is as well, just the fact that they've put such big of a release clause on him to make sure nobody will get their hands on him. But of course, as we always do, at the end, towards the end of every show, I should say, is we let the wheel decide what league we are going to be doing for next week's Team of the Season predictions. Now, of course, left on the wheel is the Bundesliga and the League Earn. Now, my question to you guys while you are here, for the EFL, should we do the entire EFL? Or should we do a league-specific one?
The
entire, but I also...
The entire?
I wouldn't be against a rest of the world 11.
I was thinking about doing that. Do you want me to have this one in?
I do, because I think, some leagues, for example, like the Czech League, it just doesn't get enough credit, does the Czech League?
It really doesn't.
Rest of the world will go on there, because you can include the likes of the Austrian League.
Australian League,
Sir Mitchell Duke.
Actually,
I didn't say that.
If EFL or rest of the world, can we do them both together in the same week? No subs, just a starting 11.
No, yeah, we'll do that. So I'll put them. I'll just put rest of the world.
Yeah, if we're gonna wing it and sit here talking about Mitchell Duke, try and make it an hour long.
Gary Ronaldo, even he said himself, rest of the world 11 would be nice. So we'll do a rest of the world one as well. And in the meantime, as well, I am trying to sort out the pub quiz. That is a work in progress over the next couple of weeks. So I'm hoping maybe to do that in the next kind of 2 or 3 weeks once I've got everything sorted. You'll be able to play along at home. I'm going to try and get it available on Twitter live as well as YouTube. I'm going to try and somehow make it interactive so you also can play at home alongside the rest of them. Which is exactly what I was thinking. Kahoot. To be able to make it interactive. So more details in that in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, we'll get somewhere with that. But we'll do it last man standing as we did last time. So without further ado, let's spin the wheel. So the first one out is the Bundesliga. It's just out there. It's just out there.
Only just out. All right, okay.
And I can see the frustrations of the boys.
It's all right.
So it's either the rest of the world or League Earn. And we will be doing. In fact, should we make the wheel spin for a little bit longer, for a bit more tension?
Oh, can you do that?
I can indeed. I will change that
10 seconds.
to 10 seconds spin time. Here we go. There we go. 10 seconds.
Do you not have a keyboard, Josh?
It's a bit stuffed right now. I'm not going to lie. Here we go. Let me take the Bundesliga out of it.
No!
It's got to come out, unfortunately. The wheel decided.
Rigged.
Here we go. So the wheel is spinning. Is it Liga Earn or rest of the world? And the answer is...
It's rest of the world. Oh, no.
It's the rest of the world. Just to clarify. To make sure.
Rest of the world 11 and an EFL 11.
I thought we were doing them all together.
Now,
I thought one of each.
The way that this one will work is we will do an EFL one because of the amount of leagues that are available.
No subs.
Do an EFL one with no subs and then do a rest of the world one. Now, in terms of the rest of the world, this will apply to the likes of the Austrian League, the Russian League.
Josh, I have a question.
Yes.
MLS, do we go off last season?
MLS don't include the MLS.
Okay.
Oh,
The MLS, the only reason why I'm saying that is the MLS concluded the last calendar season.
Carlos Vela kind of deserves a
An
little
honourable
bit.
mention. Well, put him in.
Put
You like Carlos Vela if you want him in.
put him in.
Why am I so right?
Put him in, but the only reason why I was thinking of not including the MLS is because it ended at the last calendar season, and the new MLS season only got 2 games into it. So that's my thinking why I've not been included it.
I'll see what if you include one, it'll probably be Vela, and I'll.
Yeah, pretty much. But like the other leagues, you can include the likes of the Austrian League, the Russian League, the Australian League, the Argentinian League. Realistically, probably more the European leagues than anything, because if we start going to South American leagues, we'll just get out of hand. But like the likes of the Russian League, Austrian League, the Chinese Super League, ones like that, try and include them in there if possible. No pressure on you guys on that one. But that'll be
more fun, in fairness.
next week's. And no pressure on Kieran D as well. Fingers crossed he could be with us next week.
I can't wait to listen to this back up. What league's next week, lads?
Well, have fun on this one. There's about 10 different implications to what you can and can't use. I mean, Bundesliga-wise, Gavin Bernal says Lewandowski's an auto-include. Did anyone put Modric in their teams today?
No one put Modric in. And Lewandowski can't be in our rest of the world team because we're never going to
I think it means when we do Bundesliga. I can't wait for that.
I think we should
be a fun one.
Because I'm not having Liga being last.
This right, to be honest, I think the wheels kind of automatically deciding it wants Liga to be the last one at this rate.
Yeah, true.
It's going to but that will be next week's show, which we will do once again 5 p.m. UK time. That will be the rest of the world. Things will get interesting because you can also the likes of the Scottish League as well. The Scottish League can be involved. So loads of weeks. It's going to be a tricky one. So get your who scored and your transfer markets at the ready. Stats because you're going to blood next week.
Your FIFA team of the weeks.
Yeah, you're going to need your stats ready.
God help Kieran for the leagues that don't have licensing. Oh no!
I mean, it's a pain because it was like if Haaland was still at Salzburg, he'd have been straight in there.
Yeah, but we've still
he's not now.
We've still got Juanqui Chan.
That is very, very true. That's very, very true.
And Josh, Emmanuel Pogatetz from Lask Linz is still an option.
Technically, I think the first in the Austrian league, so could get in there for their defensive record. That will be same time next week, 5 p.m. UK time for that one. But in terms of the content that is available online, as we talked about before, Sunderland Till I Die is available. And of course, as always, there is plenty more content to come on the channel. So if you missed yesterday's Wrestling Corner, that is now available on the channel. Unfortunately, I think the live kind of aspect of the show has not been working because YouTube's had a load of glitches right now.
I was saying to Josh, it didn't even come in my sub box yesterday. I knew you'd done the show, but it just wasn't.
You have to go on the actual channel.
It's annoying, but I will constantly throughout the week keep attaching the links to the video so everybody has access to it. But what did you talk about last week? Yesterday.
Yes, we talked about teleportation. We talked about
which, if you didn't know about WWE, that sounded incredibly weird.
No, we talked about Matt Hardy teleporting. Turns out it wasn't teleportation; it was images. We talked about a cracking episode of NXT. We talked about just the wacky WrestleMania.
Not a bad show overall.
And predictions.
Did you talk about a cracking Monday Night Raw? I'm not on the Wrestling Corner anymore, or I might be reinstated. I don't know. He terminated my contract.
No. All right, this is a peek behind the curtain.
I mean, that's a good piece of news there. Gareth Bernal says he gets the notification a couple of hours later when we're done, so it's weird. Maybe some sub-boxers are working and some aren't.
Gareth's loyal, so it's fine.
I decided to peek behind the curtain. When we went to go record the Wrestling Corner one week, me and my regular co-host Simon walked in. Someone didn't follow us. So I wouldn't say it was a termination. I say you broke your contract.
It was more Alvida say.
Yeah.
Your contract.
Well, I might get on one time because I've got to admit this week's one was very...
See if we can get you on for next week for the Mania.
Of course, one. When's is WrestleMania? Is it next week?
No, it's this weekend.
Is it this weekend? Are you planning anything for content-wise on WrestleMania, or are you just going to do the podcast?
We're going to have the big... Probably it's going to be a very long show on Tuesday, considering this week we went to 2 hours.
I was just going to say, I know this is kind of completely going off topic, but were you planning on doing anything live for WrestleMania while it was going on? Or
they'll probably be live. I'll probably do some live tweets.
Rowan, we can do StreamYard.
I was thinking there was always potential of a StreamYard if you wanted to.
But
I'll be up watching it, so
they'll decide that over the weekend. If anything,
you'll have lag.
That's very true. But then I guess you'd have lag anyway because your stream will be delayed. So
maybe we'll figure it out.
But if they do anything and they do announce it, we'll upload a video onto the YouTube channel and on Twitter as well, keeping you up to date. Because of course, WrestleMania being one of the biggest pieces of sport entertainment going on in the next couple of weeks, and of course the Khabib fight as well in UFC was cancelled.
Well, it's not cancelled.
Is it not?
He can't get over from Russia, so I'll be honest. Just scrap it. They've tried it
5 times now, isn't it? That'd be 5
times. Just give it up.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely
crazy.
They're trying to find some replacement, but everyone's kind of going, "Oh, I'm free to that. I'm free."
Was it Justin Gaethje?
Justin Gaethje's. Masvidal said he's free. Tyron Woodley said he's free.
I know. I saw Daniel Cormier tweet. Adesanya, Masvidal, say take their place.
I mean, it's just clutching at straws to find a fight to put on, isn't it, really, when you think about it?
I don't know why he's still trying to run shows, Dana.
What you've got to do is you've got to the only way they can do it is source people that are living and are now in America. Because you can't get Leon Edwards because he's in England, so he can't fly. You can't get Khabib, he's in Russia.
Where's the show?
Well, it was going to be in the USA, it was going to be in Vegas, but they can't get him over.
Can they get fighters that are in Las Vegas? That live there, because I'm sure there's few.
It's getting big enough names. Like some of the champions are from different countries. Like I think Henry Cejudo might be living out in Mexico at the moment, so you can't get him. Valentina's injured.
Realistically, you're just in a position where you're kind of making what you've got left, and realistically, at this point, you just think to yourself, is it worth all the hassle?
This coronavirus set pay to everything. The football season's ended. WrestleMania is not going to have a crowd. The NFL, so weird. They're going to have to do the draft via Skype when it was meant to be on the middle of the Bellagio fountains. The players were going to get a boat to the stage. That's not happening.
Crazy.
Anymore.
I mean, they just announced in the last hour Wimbledon's off as well.
Is it?
Wimbledon's cancelled.
Something else is off.
Which is good.
Fringe
the Olympics as well. That's postponed.
It's got nothing to do with sports, but Fringe Festival's off.
Just daily life, isn't it? Daily life's been stopped. I mean, Gareth Bernardo, this is random comments, but have you guys seen that 12-man YouTube short documentary about a one-man ultra? Great guy, supports his club alone. Mad respect for him.
I saw the one that
was... Tom Raider?
No, I saw the one that was owned, where English football clubs are owned by an American YouTuber. That was really interesting. He's a guy who does all the VidCon, who started VidCon and stuff, and he's a shareholder in a fifth tier team.
I like that.
That's good. That's quite interesting. That I mean,
Sunderland Till I Die first.
Yeah, no, Sunderland Till I Die is out now, and that's available on Netflix. Of course, second series available on April Fool's Day, which is the perfect time considering their shambolic performance against Charlton in the final. No spoilers there to what happens at the end.
No, even Netflix is bantering him off when they say we're going to release this on April Fool's Day. Unbelievable.
Can you imagine they've sat there and they have decided that they want to release it on April Fool's? Can you imagine the email or the video response that they sent to Sunderland went, well, we're going to release it on April Fool's, if that's all right with you?
To be fair, did no one ever see one of the professional reviews of the series? It was something like, oh, great, good, really nicely done. Other one, Patrick Bauer, 94th minute, enough said. And that was it. And I thought
that's definitely from a Charlton fan. It's got to be, hasn't it?
Yeah.
In terms of the rest of the content on the channel, obviously we might have talked about earlier. Are we seeing the NFL corner anytime soon? Or
well, we might tomorrow. It's so. I feel bad, but there is just you can't lay plans in anymore.
No, you really can't. It's impossible.
Yeah, because
it's very hard.
At least free agent draft's going to go ahead. That's one piece of news.
When is draft?
April 25th.
Are you in terms of draft? I'm not the best in terms of NFL and that, but is that over kind of a couple of hours?
We could do thinking. It's over 3 days actually. So
first
you could
take over the channel for 3 days.
Yeah, I probably will actually. No offense, I'm just taking it from you, but
72 hours worth of content. Get in there.
yeah, we did one over WrestleMania weekend and we did one over NFL draft weekend. It's just I feel bad because we started this channel and it was going really well and everything seemed kind of streamlined, and now we've just got zilch.
Nothing.
Yeah,
Well,
it's tricky, isn't it?
What we do have though. So what we do have is the Creamer series by you, Josh.
We do, yes.
Yeah.
No, of course, I uploaded episode 0 a couple of days ago where you guys got to decide what team I was playing. The team's been decided. Quite a lot of you voted for one specific team. No hints there from Kieran's excitement. But episode 1 will be available either on Thursday or Friday.
I'll put the kit on Josh, being coach. Sub me on. Come on.
There you go. Here we go. It's like it can be like the announcement. Here it is. There you go. That is the team. Just put my face over Kieran's, and there you go. I'm the manager of all now.
Penguins, yeah.
But no, I've got episode 1. It's already edited, already sorted. The full video's done, so that'll be available on either Thursday or Friday. I'm looking to upload that maybe 2 or 3 times a week to fill in the gaps of where there's nothing on. But of course, we've still got the podcast on a Wednesday. We've still got the Wrestling Corner. And of course, as you said, WrestleMania as well is on the way. So lots of content, hopefully, ready. Over the next week.
Reactions would be quite cool if we could get it.
We'll see what we can do. We'll figure it out.
We'll have to sit down and think about it and see where we can go with things. But hopefully, even though there's not a great deal of sporting stuff, there's lots of content to come to keep the channel running. A lot of different content as well. For any of you guys that want to get on board, do leave a subscription as always. We are 7 subscribers away from 600. So close.
Tell your mother, tell your father, tell your grandma, tell your grandma, tell your brother, sister, cat,
Next
dog.
Tell your cats. Subscribe to the channel. Honestly, it'd be greatly, greatly appreciated. But I think that's where the perfect way to end the podcast. We've been on for an hour and a half. It's been a fantastic stream. Do you want to do the music, Rowan, or are we just going for a flat intro to end it?
Bum, bum,
bum, there we go. Yes.
Bum, bum, bum,
I've got to say thank you very much to Kieren and thank you very much, Rowan, for joining me today. Greatly, greatly appreciated. We will be back next Wednesday, 5 p.m. UK time for our EFL and rest of the world predictions. So don't forget, subscribe, leave a like, I'll leave your comments on your thoughts throughout our predictions. We'll see you on Wednesday, and we'll see you tomorrow for NFL Corner. Bye.